Alabama's making a historic run at the number one class in the 2026 recruiting cycle. These are the dudes that you need to be watching moving forward. Let's talk about it. Stick around. This is Way Offsides. 3, 2, let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be. Happy Father's Day weekend. There's a lot going on in the college football world, a lot that we need to talk about. We're very active over on X, very, very, very active. And what we're seeing a lot of, especially in our Way Offsides official group chat over there, is that folks are kind of getting discouraged. I understand that. I get it. I think Florida's added 3 dudes to their 2026 recruiting class this morning. Things are going crazy for everybody else except Alabama right now. Well, that makes us all feel some kind of way. I get it. You kind of feel left out. You've been promised some recruits coming. They are coming. But you're like, what's going on? Well, let's start there. What I need you to understand in terms of recruiting is that a lot of the guys that Bama is targeting, they're in legitimate dogfights for, and they're not in dogfights against Georgia Tech or Texas, Tech or somebody like that. Like, we're talking Georgia, Ohio State, some big school names, LSU, big recruiting names that Alabama's fighting some of these guys for, and they already have commitment dates set. They're already set. They're in place, so they're not going to commit before that date. It's a whole thing. It's a big fancy to do in most cases, and that's fine. They should have their moments. That's absolutely fine. So, and some of these big names that you guys are waiting on, and we're going to talk about some of them today, I know that you're being impatient, and there's a lot of talk about these 3-star guys that are in camp that Alabama's offering now, and folks are like, well, 3 stars. Well, everybody's got 3 stars. Some of these kids, if you'll look at some of the other offers they've already got, Georgia's in there. I know that Alabama fans typically don't like Georgia because they call themselves a new Alabama, but when you look at somebody who does know how to evaluate talent, Kirby Smart and his staff do. So if Georgia or somebody like that's in play, Ohio State, and Bama's jumping in the mix, that's not a bad thing, okay? And keep in mind, some of these 3 stars are very under the radar and will likely get a bump moving forward. Now, in terms of Alabama's recruiting class right now, they're sitting very, very well. I think they've got 6-7 guys committed right now. They just brought on Utu, big time recruit. Camarion Johnson has shut down his recruitment completely, and he is actively recruiting for Alabama. Jordan Edmonds, he's been super quiet, but very, very much the same situation with him. And then I'm telling you, man, Alabama's in a really good place, and they actually have a shot to make not just a run at the number 1 class in the country, but a historic class. Because what Alabama has done with the commits they have, if you'll look at their average rating in terms of the player ranking, they're sitting second highest in the country, right behind LSU. Bama is not just getting guys just to get them. They're really doing some serious evaluation, making sure these folks are going to work in the system, offensive and defensively, and that they're going to be what we expect and what we need on the field. And it's paying off, and it's going to pay off here very, very soon. Alabama's hosting an official visit weekend right now. A lot of big names on campus, probably the biggest 5-star, Brandon Arrington. You all know him. You've seen him posting on social media. Don't necessarily know how heavy Bama's in play there. We'll see moving forward, but a lot of other guys. But what I wanted to talk about was I put together cumulative, semi-cumulative list of guys that you need to be watching moving forward that I feel like Alabama has the best chance with, that they're either trending or their trajectory is directly towards Alabama, and most of them are, or there's already been official predictions put in for them, or it's a pretty given that they're going to land with the Tide. And these are guys that I think Bama will be in play until the very end of their recruitment, until their commitment date, and that Bama has a really good shot. Now, I'm going to bring this list up and we're going to talk about each one. This is going to be exhaustive, but I also want to say that this is not just, it's just based off of my opinion. So, Andrew Bone, whoever these other guys you follow may have differing opinions about the guys I've listed. There may be people that I don't have on my list that you think Bama's in a better spot for. There may be some guys who you think shouldn't be on this list. Tell me in the comment section. While you're over there, before we get to this, be sure that you subscribe, hit the notification bell. We're going to be covering recruiting the rest of the way, all the way to signing day. So be sure you don't miss a thing. So let's take a look at this list here. This is awesome. I'll pull the banner down so you can take a look. We're going to start off right at the top. We had him on the show, him and his mom, amazing people. 5-star linebacker, Xavier Griffin. Right there at the very top. I think that you could maybe make an argument for some other folks, but I think Xavier Griffin would be the highlighted cherry on top for this 2026 class. Now, what does Alabama have to do to make a run at number one? Well, those first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 names, they need to land all of them. They need to land all 5 of them. They are in good position for all 5 of them right now. We'll see how that goes. You've got some of these guys. I think Xavier Crowell and Cederian Morgan are at Auburn this weekend. Xavier Griffin's at Texas this weekend. Bama's going to get a lot of these guys on campus next weekend. Crowell, Morgan, and Tank Jones will all be in Tuscaloosa next weekend. So you need Griffin. Obviously, Bama's got to land 5-star wide receiver Cederian Morgan. They seem to be in a very strong lead. I highly expect a lot of the media to talk Auburn up in his recruitment after this weekend. Probably the same thing with Crowell. But Morgan's going to generate a lot more clicks there. But I think Bama is in good position for both of those guys. They're Alabama guys. That's something that Bama's putting a heavy focus on in this class, is winning the state. I believe that they're going to do that. I believe in this coaching staff. I believe in Courtney Morgan. In our interview with Xavier Griffin, Jay, his mother, spoke about how the culture really hasn't shifted as much as people talk about, and that Alabama is recruiting the families of these people. And that's something, that Xavier himself said meant a lot to him. And so Bama's recruiting strategy this go around is pretty solid. So, those 5-star guys, I think are pretty solid Alabama, with the exception of one. Now, I put Jet Washington on this list. I think Bama's in the mix. I think it's going to come down between Bama and Oregon. I'm still leaning Oregon for Jet Washington. They're going to get the last visit there. But I feel like Alabama made a serious impression on him. Now, could Alabama land both Edwards and Washington? Sure, they absolutely could. That would be nutty. There's some people that follow us. J-Bake thinks they will. I do not. I don't. Could be wrong there, but I just see Alabama's DB room is stacked right now. And so it's going to be hard for Bama to get both of those guys, especially with play. I mean, they're both probably at worst a year removed from being able to play at D1 level if they're not already plug and play. So it's going to be hard for Bama to sell both of those guys unless they just both are great friends and want to compete against each other. So we'll see. Somebody who's on campus right now would be 4-star athlete Roman Voss. This is somebody I think is trending very well towards the Tide right now. I want you guys to keep an eye on him. Voss measured in yesterday. I think he was at like 6'4.5", 215, something like that. On3 has him at 210. He is out of Minnesota. Just all out. Literally an all-out athlete. Now, Bama will be his last official visit. He went to Minnesota earlier. I think the Tide will get this one done before it's all said and finished. I didn't want to say done twice in the same sentence. So let's look forward. There's a lot of names on this list. So you'll see that a lot of these names are on that defensive line position. And this is something that Alabama's really trying to beef up in this class. the defensive line. I know a lot of you want edge, but with Alabama, the linebacking core that they have, a lot of those guys will be used as edge rushers. So edge isn't necessarily as important of a position, especially when you're talking about potentially bringing in a guy like Anthony Jones. That should shore that up pretty well. But on the defensive line, we'll start off with, four-star defensive lineman out of Bessemer, Alabama, Emmanuel Ruffin. Ruffin is Alabama's right in the mix of it. They're actually right now, in my opinion, leading. LSU is in here. Ohio State's in here. Tennessee. A lot of guys. He is on an unofficial to Tennessee this weekend, but he will be on an official to Alabama next weekend. Now that visit next weekend is going to be huge for the Tide. It's going to be very, very, very big in the sense that you're going to have the bulk of who they're hoping to land outside of Jair Edwards, Cederian Morgan, Jair Edwards, Xavier Griffin. The bulk of who they're hoping to land is going to be in Tuscaloosa next weekend. A couple other guys, defensive line guys, Titan Davis, Nolan Wilson. I think the Tide leads for both of them. Now, Davis has got it down between Bama and Michigan. He is going to take that Michigan official visit. I think it's going on next weekend. So that is something to keep an eye on. Family there is pretty high on Bama. Again, Bama using the family recruiting strategy. He will take an official visit to Michigan the weekend of the 20th. He canceled his other visits. So as you can see, you just kind of go through there, and Alabama's really working that defensive line. Some other guys to talk about, Mac Sutter, who I believe, let me double check this. I want to look at my spreadsheet here. I think he is on campus this weekend, or he might be there next weekend. Yes, next weekend. He is actually not on a visit this weekend. So Mac Sutter, 4-star tight end, 94 ranked tight end, is number 6 tight end in the country, 6'5", 225 out of Illinois. He will be in Tuscaloosa next weekend on that giant recruiting weekend again, as well as some other guys. Now, Bryson Cooley was there earlier this year. I think that Cooley is one definitely that you want to watch, offensive tackle out of Mississippi, but there are some other schools in play here. This one's kind of a little neck and neck with Ole Miss. So just keep an eye out there. He's at LSU this weekend and will be at Mississippi State the following weekend. Now let's just keep going. I know a lot of you guys are really hype on this running back that's visiting Mallory from Miami. The Miami commit. I don't know how much headway Bama's going to make there, just because he's going to visit Miami at the end. We'll see. But Ryan Estrada, sorry for the 2 capital letters at the beginning of his name, but Ryan Estrada is definitely somebody to pay attention to as well moving forward. Now, one of your favorite recruits that we've talked about who visited very early in the season, Booby Feaster. Now, Feaster came out and was super duper high on Bama, but LSU and Texas A&M are in the mix. He's actually at A&M this weekend and will be at LSU next weekend. I think Feaster is going to probably be a big priority NIL target. You look at his list of schools for official visits. Bama's the only one on the list. You got Oregon. Well, that was an unofficial, but Bama, USC, Texas A&M, LSU. Bama's the only one on the list who I don't think is a primary NIL school. And so Booby's going to be a highest bidder type guy. So it's something to keep an eye on there. I do think Bama makes that final decision group for him. Same thing with Isaiah Jackson. That's a name that we haven't said much here on the show that we probably need to be talking about a little bit more. Now, Isaiah Jackson, he's out of Leesburg, Georgia, 4-star cornerback, highly rated cornerback, actually. He is the number 15 cornerback in the class, but he's the top 300 guy. He's the number 100, I think 133 nationally. Bama is currently leading in his recruitment as well. He is at FSU this weekend, but guess where he'll be next weekend? In Tuscaloosa. Now, this next one's very interesting. He is on campus right now, and if you follow Andrew Bone, it came out earlier. You expect Alabama to go ahead and give him an offer. He is actually committed to Georgia Tech right now. He's got offers from Kentucky, Duke, Louisville, and Mississippi State, but we expect Alabama to extend an offer to 4-star cornerback Jaden Terry. Now he's out of Manchester, Georgia. You know who else was out of the Manchester, Georgia recruiting class last year? Justice Terry. You guys all remember Justice Terry. Bama was very much heavily in the mix there, and then he spurned the tide for Texas right there at the end. So I think I think Bama is in a good spot here if that offer drops, and so just something also to keep an eye out. And then to finish it up here, we got Jacob Eberhardt. I believe his name is misspelled on here. It sure is. I don't know why there's an A there. Sorry. 4-star athlete. He is going to be out of Missouri. Bama is in the mix here. Now Nebraska, it seems like they were the team kind of to beat, but guess where he is this weekend, or going to be later this week? He won't be there for that big weekend, but he'll be there on the 17th for an official visit. He is actually at Nebraska as we're recording this, but Bama will get that last visit. Somebody you definitely want to watch. Now, the last two guys on here, Brian Williams, Owen Cabell. Now, Cabell, let's talk about him first. 3-star wide receiver. Now, these are two guys who easily, that we talked about pre-show, could get bumped at some point in time to 4 stars, especially Brian Williams Jr. That guy is, you watch him, he's a big body wide receiver. These two guys, I can almost guarantee you their commitments are coming within the week to the Tide. I think, everybody's kind of waiting on the 3 or 4 that have been hitting around. I think these are 2 of them. So stick around there. Now, what does that do for the rest of Alabama's wide receiving class? Well, I think Bama's going to take one more guy, and obviously that guy is going to be Cederian Morgan. I think a lot of you, we got really hype about Kenny Darby's visit and Boobie Feaster's visit, but realistically, I think the guy has always been Cederian Morgan, and Bama doesn't really need to take a huge group of wideouts this class. They really don't. They took a great group last year, and we all know the wide receiving room is young and very, very deep in Tuscaloosa. So 3 guys here would be fantastic. Now, if you get a Boobie Feaster saying, hey, Bama's it, and then you get a Cedarian Morgan saying Bama's it, can they make room for a 4th? I'm sure they could if they needed to. Or, you have to tell one of the other guys, hey, sorry, man, we no longer have a scholarship for you. So with all this, what I'm saying is that these are the guys right now that I feel have the best shot to land with Alabama. These are the guys that I think Bama is putting the most work into. They're watching the most. And I think Bama, the majority of these, for Bama to land the number 1 class, they would have to land 60% of this list. You're not going to get all these guys. Let me be very clear. Alabama's not getting every one of these guys. That would be a perfect world situation. Nick Abrams, Bama's in the mix. They're heavy. They're pushing, but I still think he's a Georgia lean. So Bama's not going to land all of these dudes. Okay. But what Bama is doing is, out of these guys, again, and about 60% of these guys, and they, with those 5 stars that I named earlier, if they can land that, Bama will land one of its best classes ever, even the Nick Saban era. And I know that is crazy to say out loud. I did a video not long ago. It's been a while since you've seen my face. Here I am. Hello. It's been a while. I did a video not long ago, and I was kind of talking about how this could be something Nick Saban's never done. And it could be one of Bama, if not Bama's highest rated recruiting class ever. And again, they're not going to get all these guys, but they will finish in the top 3. Believe you me. Hey, tell me who I got right, who I got wrong. I'm sure there's people that you feel like shouldn't be on the list that should be on the list. Maybe I overlooked a detail. I'm human. I have fog brain sometimes. And I got names on my list that I forget to take off because they've said that they're shutting down their recruitment. It's the nature of the job, man. So if there's something I missed, feel free to tell me. This is your show. So, and also tell me, do you think Alabama has a legitimate shot at the number 1 class in the country? I certainly do. I just feel like this staff is the bee's knees. They're fantastic, man. This staff is really, really good. It's really, really good. Jay and Xavier Griffin the other night, that interview is going up, just the interview snippet later today. Be sure to watch it, share it everywhere, please. But they talked a lot to that. And, C-Rob Freddie Roach and those relationships. And I just feel like Alabama is in a really good position. And I know right now it's hard because we're having to wait. We're watching all these other commitments. I'll say this again. I would rather a guy go through the process and make sure he's committing to where he wants to be than to react emotionally and commit while he's on an official visit somewhere. We see more often than not that ends poorly. A lot of these people that are getting recruits right now, they're going to end up with a lot of decommitments right at the finish line. And that's hard unless you're a school that can stack these commitments like Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State. That's tough to overcome at the last minute in recruiting. It is. So Bama's are coming. You've got a lot of these guys, Jaira Edwards, Xavier Griffin, Cederian Morgan, Xavier Crowell, Booby Feaster, a lot of these guys that are on that list that have commitment dates set in the next 3 weeks. A lot of them are before June's out. You've got a couple that are right around the 4th of July. So they're coming. I'm telling you, just stick around. If you're worried you're going to miss it, just subscribe, hit the notification bell. We will do a video for every single one of them, a short for every single one of them. So you will absolutely know. We won't leave you hanging. I promise. Hey, thank you guys for sticking around. Please consider becoming a Way Offside official member today. We'll get you over in that group chat. If you do, you can, you're going to have an X account. So good luck. Twitter's the Wild West. But thank you for sticking around. You guys are the best. We absolutely love each and every one of you. As always, say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands, beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Roll Tide.